Introduction: The Enigma of Time. Today, I don't come to tell you a story of grand multitudes, nor of staggering miracles that shake the earth. Today, I want us to stop and dwell within a silence that has lasted for centuries. We know of his birth in that humble manger under a star that guided the wise. We know of that day in the temple when, at 12 years old, a young boy astonished the doctors of the law with a wisdom that did not seem to belong to this world. But after that, history falls silent. An invisible curtain is drawn. Years pass, many years, 18 winters and 18 springs where the pens of the chroniclers simply stopped. And the question appears on its own, inevitable like a whisper in the mind of anyone seeking the truth. Where did you go, Jesus? What did you do in all that time before the world finally heard your voice? Nazareth, the stage of the invisible. To understand that boy as he grew, we must look toward Nazareth. It wasn't a magnificent city of marble and gold. It was a tiny village, almost a forgotten hamlet in the hills of Galilee. Imagine narrow streets of reddish dirt rising with the evening wind. Humble houses made of adobe and local stone, with roofs of branches and mud where families took refuge from the night chill. There, life had no rush. Mornings began with the song of birds and the aroma of bread baking in communal ovens. Afternoons brought a gentle breeze that cooled the olive trees, and nights were a blanket of stars, where ancient stories were told in hushed tones. In this setting, Jesus was no stranger. He was a boy of Nazareth, a boy who learned to walk on those very stones, who felt the sting of the sun, and who, bit by bit, discovered the world through purely human eyes. Childhood, the boy who learned to look. Let's imagine that radiant, beautiful child. He didn't walk with a supernatural light surrounding him. He walked with sandals worn out by play and curiosity. Like any child his age, Jesus had to learn everything. He learned the language of his mother, Mary, listening to the sweetness of her voice as she taught him the first letters of the scriptures. He learned to observe the flight of birds and the way the flowers of the field dressed in colors without anyone tending to them. His eyes, deep and clear, didn't just look, they saw. They saw the fatigue in the farmers' faces after a day of harvest. They saw the simple joy of a village wedding where music filled the air with hope. But they also saw the small injustices of the village. Jesus grew in stature, but above all, in a sensitivity that connected him to everything living. In those childhood years, he didn't come to impress. He came to accompany the heartbeat of humanity. The young worker, the weight of wood. As he reached adolescence, the boy gave way to the young worker. He entered Joseph's workshop. This is a detail we often forget. Jesus was a laborer. Imagine the rhythmic sound of the hammer hitting the chisel, the hiss of the saw cutting through cedar logs, the sharp, penetrating scent of fresh resin. Here, Jesus came to know the true weight of matter. His hands, the same ones that later would bless the sick and multiply the bread, first became calloused and covered in wood dust. He learned that wood has knots that must be respected, and that stone does not yield easily. In the workshop, he discovered the patience of what is built slowly. He understood that a well-made piece of furniture, a solid beam for a neighbor's roof, or a sturdy plow were all forms of love and service. There were no spectacular miracles in those years. His miracle was his consistency. His wonder was the daily effort under the scorching sun. There, among wood shavings, Jesus understood that human dignity is forged in the everyday, in the sweat of the brow and the honesty of a job well done.
Learning the human heart. What was Jesus like in his dealings with others during those years of silence? Perhaps he spoke little and listened much. He sat at the table with neighbors, not to give sermons, but to share bread and life. He saw how an ordinary man loves, how a father stays awake worrying about his children's future, and how much disappointment hurts when the harvests fail. He felt firsthand the rush people have to grow up and the desperation that sometimes clouds the soul when life gets hard. Before being the master teaching on the hillsides, he wanted to be the companion walking through the mud. He wanted to feel the exhaustion in his own muscles at the end of the day, so he could say with true authority, "Come to me, all you who are weary." This process of becoming human wasn't a mere formality, it was a choice of absolute love. Jesus didn't pretend to be a man, he was a man. He experienced hunger, thirst, sleep, and the deep loneliness that silence sometimes brings. Preparation in the invisible and the legacy of Ethiopia. Many people think those years were wasted time, a blank space that serves no purpose. But our Father is in no rush. In the kingdom of God, what grows underground is just as important as what blooms on the surface. Nazareth wasn't a place to shine, it was a place to wait. Those 18 years were the invisible preparation of the soul. For silence, too, shapes the spirit. On long walks through the mountains of Galilee, alone with the Father, Jesus was uniting his human will with the divine purpose. It was there that the words that would one day shake the world gained their true weight. As ancient traditions teach us, even those preserved in the sacred texts of Ethiopia, the preparation of the chosen one requires a time of retreat, a total immersion in creation. His parables didn't come from cold books, they came from a life lived intensely. When he spoke of the lost sheep, it was because he saw shepherds searching for them in the hills at night. When he spoke of the sowing, it was because he saw the seeds falling in the fields of his childhood. His teachings were soaked in the scent of his land and the flavor of his people. Conclusion: the small is sacred. And so, when the day finally came, when he left the workshop, put away his tools, and walked toward the Jordan River, Jesus was no longer just that beautiful child everyone remembered. He was the man who understood everything. His hands were marked by labor, his eyes were full of human stories, and his heart beat in unison with every human being who has ever suffered or loved. Perhaps that's why today, when we ask again, "Where did you go?" the answer embraces us with infinite warmth. You were here. You were in the small things, in what no one sees, in the routine we sometimes despise. You taught us that we don't need to do grand things to be great in the eyes of heaven, that humble service, an attentive gaze, and a willing heart are the foundations of eternity. Nazareth tells us that God doesn't just dwell in temples of gold, but also in wooden workshops and dusty streets. And that, my friend listening to me, that changed everything forever.